That's what I thought. Okay. My name is Charles Gerd, and for those who are on the live stream, we're going to wait for a couple more minutes before we begin the ceremony. So to make sure that people have time to come in. So I just want to let you know, and I want to thank you for attending live stream. And my name's Charles Gerd. I'm the chair of the Senior Lawyers Division this year.
I'm Charles. Hey, how are you doing, sir? Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna do that first. And then I'm just gonna say, I'm sure. It I get it. I won't look at this.
Let's go.
So Peter's got 5. And he's got 10.
Okay, Joe, let's go. Cheers.
Okay, I think we'll begin the memorial celebration. My name is Charles Gerd, and I'm chair of the Senior Lawyers Division for this year. And what we do is for this celebration, we recognize those who have deceased, and then what we do is we provide a scholarship to carry on the traditions of those who have gone before us. I'd like to name those who are going to be crucial for tonight. And first one is Peter Chestnut over here, and then Jocelyn Torres and Terry Revo. And then Peter's going to come up afterwards. So I think what we'll do is just hand it over to Peter. And again, I want to thank all those who are here in person and also on streaming. Thank you so much.
I just want to announce also Serge Martinez, Associate Dean for the UNM Law School, will be speaking, and also Noah O'Leary, and he's one of the winners of last year's scholarship. So just wanted to make that announcement. Peter?
Thank you, and welcome everybody. This is one of the main events that the Senior Lawyers Division of the State Bar of New Mexico puts on each year, and we feel that it's an important element of what we do in terms of maintaining the continuity of our profession, recognizing the contributions of those that have passed into the spirit world, and then investing in law students who are going to become the future lawyers. And so I want to welcome everybody here to this event. And at this time, I've been asked to talk a little bit about what is Senior Lawyers Division? What does it do? Well, it turns out you can qualify two ways to be a senior lawyer. You can practice for 25 years, or you can be over 55 years old, or you can be both. I'm in the both category. And so there's probably a couple thousand people that are members, but we have a hardcore of a few dozen that serve on the board. And then there's a handful of those that'll be putting on the presentation tonight. Another activity that we do is oral histories. And by now, a few decades back, I think it was the Supreme Court or the Bar Commissioners asked the senior lawyers to take oral histories, starting with people who were over 80. And at this point, We have probably a couple hundred, and they're all available on the website. If you go to the State Bar website and then to the Senior Lawyers Division, and then within that, there's an oral history piece. And some of those go back to the 1980s, that we had some that were on VHS, and the technical wizards at the State Bar were able to digitize it and make it available. And then more recently, they've been done on video, and I've done several, and it's a great experience to connect with people and give well, they're all senior lawyers, an opportunity to kind of reflect on their careers and share words of wisdom to the future. And each person is different, and those of us that do it really enjoy the opportunity that we've had. So oral history is another committee, and so we have several people that do that. Another thing we do is we lend the wisdom of our senior lawyers to the, or provide it to the Board of Bar Commissioners. And so Dan Bayless has been our representative for many years. And we think that's a good decision by the bar leadership, many of whom are much younger than the senior lawyers, to have somebody from the Senior Lawyers Division sit in and contribute as appropriate. And so that's something that we do. Another thing that we do is we, on occasion, have jointly sponsored events with the Young Lawyers Division. And again, we feel like practicing law, each of us has a lifetime, but the practice is multi-generational. That the State Bar started back in 1889 with 29 lawyers. And at last count, there's over 11,000 lawyers, of which over 8,500 are active. And so it's really blossomed over the last 125 years or so. But it's a crucial social role. I like to say that lawyers help to weave the fabric of society. And so part of what we at the Senior Lawyers do is try to have there be continuity through the generations so that that can happen. To that end, Jocelyn Torres and I did a well-being podcast a couple years ago. We're active in when the Supreme Court was developing a succession planning rule to make sure that no clients would be left behind or left out if a lawyer died and they had a hearing scheduled and nobody knew about it. And so now there's a requirement that there be succession plans in place. And the Senior Lawyers Division was active in that. Charles Bird, our president, was very active. And pro bono activities that in years past, a number of the lawyers, really senior lawyers, took advantage of a status called emeritus status that was created by the Supreme Court to allow lawyers who were no longer actively practicing, but could help nonprofits and provide services to legal aid and low income people. And so these are some of the things that the Senior Lawyers Division does. But again, I want to give my personal appreciation to everybody being here and participating. I'm a believer if you show up, you're participating. And so everybody here is a participant in this event. And so I'll be back up in a little bit after Jocelyn opens the part about remembering the lawyers who have passed on. So I'll turn it over to Jocelyn.
It's my pleasure to be here. This is my 4th year serving on the board, and it's been one of the best experiences that I've had as an attorney in the state of New Mexico. And we do really appreciate everybody being here. And I want to personally express my sympathy for those that have lost members of their own families, friends, during this past year. And this is our way of honoring them and then also passing the baton to the new lawyers by giving them the incentive of having a scholarship. So with this ceremony, we celebrate both. And we can go ahead and start reading the names. Okay, the first attorney, Douglas J. Antoon. Next, Ron Banerjee. Douglas Barry Stone. James L. Brandenburg. David W. Bunting. James Askew. Richard Bayard Walker. Ron Bannerman. Bruce Boynton. Carrie Comiskey. Gerald Greg Jakarian. Thomas Charles Escabel. Don M. Fedrick.
We're still coming down.
Mark Pfizer. Harold Foley Jr. Curtis Leroy Hansen. Donald Richard House. Wade Jackson. Val R. Jolly. Alan Kirpan. Rory Lane Rank. Barbara Logan Schneider. Gerald Lyndon McManus. The Honorable Mark B. McFeely. F. Chester Miller III. Charles Noland. David L. Norvell. Alice Nystel Page. Victor R. Ortega. Arthur O'Neill Beach. And now Victor R. Ortega. Getulio Victor Pongetti Jr. Georgina Radosevich Fowley. Stephen M. Rappaport. David Rask. Betty Reed. Eliu E. Romero. The Honorable Ira S. Robinson. Don Sturdivant Baum. Stephen S. Suttle. Rex Denton Throckmorton. Nathaniel P. Wardwell. Megan J. Wells. Okay, Peter. Thank you, everybody.
When we printed Judge Hanson's name, we forgot to include honorable.
As we're concluding this portion of our program, I want to read a poem called We Remember Them. And we invite everybody here to think about their loved one that's passed on or that they knew, a friend or colleague. We remember them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the bounty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys and yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they shall live, for they are part of us now, as we remember them.
Good evening. My name is Serge Martinez. Excuse me. I'm the Associate Dean for Experiential Learning and the Director of the Clinical Law Program at UNM School of Law, and also on the faculty at the School of Law. And I'm here in that capacity as a representative of the law school. I'm also the unofficial liaison to the Senior Lawyers Division, I believe. And 6 weeks away from becoming a member myself, kicking and screaming, and really excited about actually the opportunity to be part of this community. On behalf of the law school and as a member of the bar myself, I want to acknowledge what we've lost this year. The legal community suffered many great losses, and my sincere condolences to family members and friends here tonight who have lost a loved one. The law school joins with the Senior Lawyers Division in honoring and remembering them and their contributions to our community and our profession. And I'm grateful to be here tonight to acknowledge their history and their legacy and give thanks to the Senior Lawyers Division for organizing this lovely commemoration. I'm also extremely grateful to the Senior Lawyers Division for your continued commitment to providing incredibly generous scholarships to our students. On behalf of UNM School of Law, thank you, thank you, thank you. I invite every year, every semester, every year, I guess, Terry and Jocelyn come to my classes. Excuse me, thank you. I invite Terry and Jocelyn to come to my class to talk about the scholarship, because obviously it's such an important gift to our students and such a just incredible generosity displayed by the Senior Lawyers Division. But also because I want my students to understand what I almost certainly did not understand when I was a law student, which is that everything we do as lawyers now, everything that my students will do when they join this community in a few short months, right, is building on the legacy of the lawyers who've come before us. And there's so much to be gained, and so many great things we can learn, so many mistakes that we can avoid making on our own by learning from the senior lawyers and the folks who've come before us. And I'm so grateful that I've had a chance to get to know the Senior Lawyers Division and help my students make this connection across the different generations of lawyers in this incredible community and this unified profession that we have here. So I also want to congratulate the recipients of this award. I've had the tremendous pleasure of actually getting to know Stephanie and Daniel and Hakeem, who's in DC tonight, if I understand correctly, watching us on YouTube. He's part of our DC program this semester. And you have the chance to read their essays yourself, so you can tell that they are thoughtful, incisive writers and thinkers. I have also had the pleasure of seeing them in my classroom and hearing their thinking on important legal issues, understanding their commitment to learning the law, to becoming excellent lawyers. And I've seen them in action. I've been able to see them in service. I've seen Daniel as part of our Border Justice Initiative, providing real important service to the people of New Mexico. And his relentless commitment to that is impressive. Hakeem and Stephanie are both going to be joining me, I think. I guess Hakeem I saw in the clinic last summer. Stephanie's coming soon. I can't wait, right? These students embody the very best of UNM School of Law because of their commitment to taking what they've learned and are learning now and putting it into practice. And so I know you didn't know them when you made these selections, but I promise you could not have chosen a better set of students for these scholarships. And I'm really thrilled for the students who are receiving them. I know my time is short. I just want to recognize that these scholarships represent more than just financial support, although that is significant and extremely meaningful to law students and lawyers just about to graduate. But they really represent the link between the most senior members of our profession and our community and the newest members who are about to join us in practice, right? The wisdom of those who have been practicing for a while, and the freshest lawyers with their new ideas, their new energy, their enthusiasm, and their innovative approaches to the law. I'm really excited to see what happens when these two, strands of the legal profession get together. The Senior Lawyers Division, I think, represents the very best of our profession by embracing its role as stewards of our profession, of the community, of the obligations that we have as lawyers, and providing space for growth and expansion to everyone who's come after them and is joining the profession now. And recognizing that our newest members already have much to offer and have already shown that through their writing. So in conclusion, just let me once again thank the Senior Lawyers Division, right? Its ongoing commitment to looking backward and acting forward, and connecting the ideals of our profession with the newest members of it. So I'm personally deeply, deeply grateful for the commitment that the Senior Lawyers Division has to the community, to the profession, and to the students at UNM School of Law. And in my role as representative of the School of Law, I also want to extend our official thanks and gratitude, just tremendous, tremendous gratitude for this support that you unwaveringly have given to our students through the years. But it is now time to, I think, hear from them, right? Anyway, congratulations and thank you.
Hello and good evening. My name is Noah Allaire, and I am proud to say that I am a 2024 graduate of the UNM School of Law, a 2024 inductee into the State Bar of New Mexico, and most importantly, a 2023 recipient of the Senior Lawyers Division Memorial Scholarship Award. So first of all, I'd just like to thank Senior Lawyers Division, of course, for the award that I received last year, but especially to Jocelyn Torres and to Judge Bustamante for inviting me back this year to give a few remarks about what it means for me to be a lawyer and what it means for me to be here tonight. I also want to thank my boss, Judge Catherine Ray of the New Mexico Court of Appeals, for letting me leave work a bit early this evening to join you. We don't often leave the chambers early in Katie Ray's chambers. So the theme of what I wanted to talk to you about tonight is storytelling. What it means to me to be a lawyer means to be a storyteller. As lawyers, we have to tell the factual stories of each case, and we also have to tell the story of the development of the law. And I would like to pick up where Peter Chestnut left off with this metaphor of weaving the facts with the law together. And I think that in learning how to be a lawyer, the most important skill is to learn how to weave the facts and the case together, the facts and the law together to tell a cohesive story. Another thing I would like to mention in that regard is that in every story there are plot holes. And so a big part of becoming a good lawyer is to negotiate those plot holes in the story as well. So what it means to me to be here tonight, it's very special to come back. I was very touched last year by this ceremony, and of course, very, very appreciative of the generosity of the division. The writing competition last year was an opportunity to tell a story about how the law would likely develop in the area of presidential immunity. And I'm pleased to say that the story developed almost exactly as I predicted. And it's interesting because this year, I can see that the winners this year have gone on to tell the next chapter of that story. Last year, the topic was, what are the legal consequences of criminally indicting a United States president? And my essay, as well as some of my colleagues' essays last year, focused on the boundary between personal and official conduct, which is where the recipients this year picked up the story. Finally, I'd just like to say that this memorial for me is an opportunity to honor the life stories of our colleagues who've come before us. There's the facts of their lives woven together with the constraints or the rules that they lived under. And it's just so special to me to see how old some of these people have been who came before us and how much experience they had in the practice of law. And finally, the memorial is an opportunity to recognize the stories our colleagues have left behind and how they live on, both through their writings and also in the memories of, in the hearts and minds of their family, friends, and colleagues. And so I'd just like to say thank you again.
Before I introduce the winners of the scholarship, I want to put in a plug for something that Peter said. One of the things that we do as senior lawyers, and one of my favorite projects, is the Oral History Project. And as I look out on the audience tonight, I see a number of elderly lawyers who we haven't gotten yet. So it's an invitation that I extend to any of the lawyers who haven't done an oral history yet. I can tell you that it's an awful lot of fun. from my perspective, as well as the perspective of the attorney that's being interviewed. And think about it. Where do you get a chance to talk about yourself for an hour and a half to 2 hours without anybody interrupting you unless you let them? So please keep that in mind. One of the other things that occurs to me is I've been involved in this program for about 10 years, maybe a little bit less. And the hard part is seeing who died over the past year and how many of the people you knew and how many of the people you had either on your side or on the other side of a case. And very frankly, it's getting tougher each year because there's more and more people that we know that pass on. And I think it's really important that we honor them. There are several ways to honor them. This happens to be one of them. So, on to our winners. The way we do this, just so you know that it's impartial, is that we have a committee, and the people on the committee are referenced in the handout. Michael, don't take too many. We get together and we decide on a topic. And then when we decide on a topic, we publish it through the law school in the beginning of September. And we give the students about a month or so to write an essay. The essays come in. We don't know whose they are because they're only identified by a letter or in some cases a number. About the winners. What I try and do is not paraphrase everything that was in the essay. The students, if they want to do that, they can do that. But what I try and do is take a little bit of each essay to give you a little bit of the thinking that went into it. And Stephanie, where are you? Okay, I'm going to call you up in just a moment. She identified the issue of official actions of a president pursuant to the Constitution and the authority of the Congress versus all other activities that are considered outer parameters. It makes the task of somebody writing an essay or somebody evaluating the actions of a president, it makes it more difficult because in the case law, it said that you can't explore the motives of a president reaching any given decision. So it's really hard to identify when you can't go into the motives. So it's strict in terms of constitutional interpretation, in terms of the official acts. The outer parameters, as they are called, are actions that a president may take, but doesn't necessarily have to do with their constitutional responsibilities. Now, Stephanie identified 4 categories. The department that the president interacts with. The first is the Department of Justice, and then there's the vice president. There's the public, and then everybody else. Now, I think it's fairly clear, as long as the actions of the president is not illegal under federal jurisdiction. But the activities with the Department of Justice and the vice president are clearly official actions. But with everybody else, it is unclear. So when we look and when we view the actions of a president that is outside of potential official actions, we look at form, we look at content, and we look at context in trying to determine, because remember, as I said, we can't investigate motives. So we look at those types of things as a way to give us guidance as to how to judge the actions of a president. So Stephanie, would you like to come up, please?
Good evening. Thank you very much to the Senior Lawyers Division for this generous scholarship opportunity and your commitment to supporting the next generation of lawyers of New Mexico, such as myself, Hakeem, and Daniel. It's an honor to receive this scholarship. Also, thank you to the New Mexico State Bar and to all of those of you here tonight, especially those of you here to honor the members of the bar who have passed. You have my condolences to you all. I am not originally from New Mexico. I was born and raised in southern New Jersey, right outside of Atlantic City, but I feel very fortunate to now call New Mexico my home. This state has so much to offer in its culture, its supportive community, and its natural beauty. I also feel very fortunate to be at the University of New Mexico School of Law and to hopefully be joining this tremendous community of lawyers, as both the school and this group embody so much of the culture and the supportive community of New Mexico. Tonight, I decided I wanted to share my story with you of how I ended up at the University of New Mexico School of Law. Despite taking slightly more time to get to this point than many others, I am proud of my path here. I have been interested in the law and becoming a lawyer since I was very young, almost as young as my children back there. But as a young student in high school, I was also very interested in math and economics. So I decided to pursue a college degree in business and finance. But I never completely gave up on this idea of becoming a lawyer. During my time in college, I took a constitutional law course and was invited by my professor to join the moot court team, and I absolutely loved it. After finishing college in 2010, I planned to apply to law school, but the economy and the job market at that point in time were pretty bleak, and so I was offered a position with a respected financial firm that I knew I shouldn't pass up, and so I didn't. But still, I continued to dream about going to law school and becoming a lawyer one day. A few years passed and I switched to a new job that offered more flexibility in hopes of being able to study and pursue my dream of law school. But unfortunately, my dad became sick with cancer around that same time, and I began spending more time visiting my parents instead of studying. But still, I continued to dream of going to law school and becoming a lawyer. Not too long after that, I experienced the greatest fortune of my life, and I met my husband, Ryan, who's in the back there. And following my father's passing in 2014, Ryan and I took a very big leap and we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we started our future and our family. We both took promising jobs, but still, I continued to dream of going to law school. Then, over the course of the next 5 years, my 3 beautiful children were born. And again, I experienced a great fortune in getting to be a stay-at-home mom to them and getting to take care of them full time. But still, I dreamed of law school. And then one day I finally realized I had to stop dreaming and start pursuing. And so with the full support of my husband and my mom, who moved to New Mexico to help us, I started studying at night and studying during nap times and on weekends, and every spare minute I could find, I studied and I studied and I studied. And before I knew it, my nights of studying for the LSAT turned into nights of studying for torts and contracts and civil procedure. My afternoons of writing admissions essays turned into afternoons of writing memos and a law review article and a scholarship essay. My time wishing and hoping became days of learning and experiencing. My determination to be here turned into something real, something more than a dream, something I can now show my children, my 3 small children, and say, if you have a dream, and you believe in it, and you work really hard, you can have it. Thank you again to the Senior Lawyers Division for this tremendous opportunity and for your tremendous support. Thank you again to the State Bar. Thank you to my incredible husband over there and our 3 children. Thank you, Aaron, Drew, and Rory. I love you all. Thank you for the nights of mommy doing schoolwork very late. And a special thank you to my mom in the back, who has probably believed in this dream longer than I have. Thank you all.
Marissa, I have a question. I want to talk about Hakeem next. Can he speak in response to our invitation and acknowledgement of his work? I know he's watching. He can't speak? Okay. Hakeem, congratulations. I am just been informed that you can't speak, but you are watching. So I'll do my best to talk a little bit about what you put in your essay and why it was important, at least to me. He talked about a threshold question that was not answered by the Supreme Court immunity decision. And the issue was whether the president's actions were official or unofficial or outer parameters, as I talked about before. But the court did not give us any clear guidance. There's issues of absolute immunity under the Constitution and as designated by Congress versus presumptive immunity, which can and should be challenged. But that's not always such an easy thing to do. So if you're not a lawyer, you probably think, well, it's the Supreme Court. They're going to clear everything up for us. But we as lawyers know that that doesn't always happen. And Judge Baiamonte is smiling over in the corner. So the reason, well, one of the reasons that the Supreme Court did not give us guidance was that neither party briefed the issue. So the Supreme Court, in the absence of the briefing of an issue, did not have to touch on it. So we're stuck with the issue of official versus unofficial acts. There's also issues involving private parties or campaign activities that are not official acts. So it's fair to say that we can deem those as non-immune. And therefore, there's an inference by the president in certification of a presidential election. Okay, excuse me, I misstated that. There's the issue of the interference of the president in the certification of a presidential election. And based upon everything that I've read in what Hakeem tells us, is that those actions are not, they do not qualify for immunity. Hakeem asked us to look at issues of disinformation and disruption as to who won the election, as well as other issues of disinformation, whether they would qualify for immunity by the president. It was his belief that those types of actions were not official acts. He also raises, and he was the only one of the 18 essays that we reviewed, that raised the issue of executive privilege. Now, that was not briefed, and I don't think it was argued in the Supreme Court immunity case. However, there's the issue of what might qualify for immunity just in the same way. And how could that be determined if the president's motives could not be investigated. So that's something that we may talk about in terms of next year's topic. So Hakeem, I want to thank you for your participation and congratulations on your award and scholarship. The third scholarship was given to Daniel Herren, who is here tonight. And he tells us that the president can engage in unpopular, controversial, and even immoral actions and still be protected by the immunity. But as most of us have seen and learned, that truth has become very subjective depending on a person's ideology. So the issue of immunity may be a tough call. That's what Daniel said for the actions of January 6th. Daniel was the first one to reference two different cases. The first was Nixon versus Fitzgerald that dealt with official duties, and Clinton versus Jones that dealt with personal conduct, which most of us probably remember. But there's no solid definitions in either of those cases. Daniel has argued that the January 6th activity was a political rally, and it was supported by former or then President Trump with his fight like hell, and other people who tested or who spoke was his buddy, former mayor of New York, Giuliani, Mr. Eastman, and others in support of their belief that the election was stolen. But that does not provide them with official protection under the immunity. Therefore, he argues that his actions were tied to Trump's personal ambitions and fall outside any immunities afforded by either the Nixon or the Clinton case. So Daniel, why don't you come on up and introduce yourself?
Well, thank you. I express my deepest gratitude to the Senior Lawyers Division for the support offered through this opportunity. I express my condolences to those lost from our community this past year. And I express gratitude to the UNM School of Law faculty for the support that they've provided me as well. Words really cannot express the gratitude I feel towards the organization for this unique opportunity. I'd also like to express gratitude to my beautiful wife who's here with me today. She's supported me throughout law school. She's much wiser than I fear where I'd be without her. The words I'm going to share today come from some of the thoughts and sort of personal ethical dilemmas that I've faced recently. There's a line in my essay that Terrence referenced a little bit, where I say, in a world in which the truth is becoming ever more subjective and evasive, providing a clear answer as to whether Donald Trump's actions on January 6, 2021 qualify for any presidential immunity under the United States Supreme Court's immunity decisions is while difficult, essential. Now, I like that line. I stand by it. I think it paints me as a little bit of a hardcore, hardline, law and order type of person, but I like it. I stand by it, and I think it is important that we have truth and that there be justice. But I want to tell a little bit of a personal story. My wife tells me that sometimes I'm not great at talking about myself, so I'm going to tell a short story about myself. One thing that I enjoy greatly is I'm a head cross-country coach for the Rio Grande High School cross-country team. That might be why some of you are noticing a tinge of red in my hair today. Because I lost a bet, is all I'll say. Now, this wonderful high school cross country team only a week ago qualified for the state championships for the first time in school history. I was very proud of them. And there's a certain young man on that team. His name is Angel. Angel gave me permission to share a little bit about his story today. Angel is an excellent young man. He's an immigrant to our country, and he's dealt with some difficult things in life. He's often faced bullying in school due to some of his language barriers, as well as being small in stature and several other factors that he deals with. After 6 months of hard work, however, Angel qualified himself to run in the state championships in the cross country meet. However, on Friday, November 8th, less than 24 hours before starting the state championship race, Angel was involved in a fight in school. Angel was suspended. Now, one of the most difficult conversations I've had in my entire life was telling this young man that I love dearly that he wasn't going to be able to compete in the state cross country championships. After 6 months of hard work, everything had ended less than 24 hours before his race was going to start. But I think even worse and even harder than telling him that was telling him how much I loved and cared about him, but there was nothing else I could do because the decision had been made and it was out of my reach. I was torn. The letter of the law said that Angel needed to be suspended, right? And that was the right thing to do. The principal had done the right thing, and I supported her in that. But I couldn't help but feel that maybe justice wasn't really what justice should have been at that moment. And I felt like maybe we could have been a little bit more merciful to this young man. There's a concrete plaque outside the UNM School of Law that I noticed on my first day at law school almost 3 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago. And it has words from the author Cervantes from his book Don Quixote de la Mancha. And the plaque says, carved in concrete, it says, "Si acaso doblares la vara de la justicia, no sea con el peso de la dádiva, sino con el de la misericordia." And translated, that means if we were to ever bend the bar of justice, may it not be under the weight of a bestowal, but rather that of mercy. Now, I do think that the bar of justice is something that is flexible. I do think it is something that does bend. And I think that it is up to us as students, practitioners, and creators of the law. We are the ones that decide under what weight the bar of justice is going to bend. And I believe and I hope this is a timely message. And I know it's a little bit different from the topic of the essay that I wrote about. But in a time in which we feel that maybe the bar of justice bends for some under the weight of a gift, under the weight of a bestowal, under the weight of political bias, it is up to us to continue to look at the bar of justice and bend it under the weight of mercy, and bend it under the weight of someone who maybe deserves a break, somebody who deserves our mercy as somebody who maybe has caught a break in life. Again, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Senior Lawyer Division. I want to express my gratitude to those that have supported me throughout law school and those that that do this wonderful work. And I thank you for this event, and I thank you for the opportunity to share some words with you today.
There are two people, at least in this room, that helped us in terms of administration and what it took to make this event happen. Stephanie, where are you? No, Courtney, excuse me, Courtney. No, there you are. Courtney works at the law school, and she's been my primary contact with both Jocelyn and myself to make this happen. And I'm really glad that you came today. There you are, way in the back, Marissa. Marissa has been our right-hand person over here at the school, at the bar. And she's just been excellent, easy to work with, and thank you for helping all of us out to make this event happen. Okay, I want to do something that I hope doesn't offend anybody. The people that we've lost are irreplaceable. But when we think of them, we try to think of them both in happiness and with solemn attitude. So right now, I'd like to take this whole group and have a moment of silence for the attorneys that have passed on during the past year. It's always difficult to decide when to end the moment of silence, but it goes on because these are people that we've loved, worked with, and supported over the years. So we've got some interesting food and snacks, and I invite you, first of all, thank you all for coming. And second of all, I invite you to get over there and get the food before someone else very close to me might eat it all up. Okay, thank you all.
Where should we stay?
Thank you very much.